is Jamie, and I'm one of the youth services librarians at Clarkston Independence District Library. And if you're in 5th grade at Bailey Lake Elementary, you've probably seen me, you probably recognize me, because that's where I normally do book talks. But because of the coronavirus, I am stuck here at home, and I'm making these videos online instead. So I have 2 books to talk to you about today, and they're both available on Hoopla and Overdrive. So all you really need to get them is a library card. And you can read them on your Kindle, a tablet, a computer, even a phone, but that might be kind of hard because it'll be so small. But all you have to do that is go to CIDLlibrary.org and click on the eLibrary tab and either click O for Overdrive or H for Hoopla, and then you can search for the book and check it out as an ebook, and then you'll be able to read it. So these books are for 4th through 8th grade. I think they're a little bit too old for a 3rd grader. So without further ado, I'm gonna get started. So the first book that I'm gonna talk to you about today is called Sal and Gabby Break the Universe by Carlos Hernandez. And this is a Rick Riordan Presents novel. And if you don't know, Rick Riordan is the writer of the Percy Jackson series. And so he usually endorses a lot of books that are about fantasy and about mythical storylines. And this one I would say is a little bit different than most of the ones that I've read in his Rick Riordan Presents series. This one is more fun, more lighthearted, and has a lot more realistic fiction in it than it does fantasy elements. It does have a little bit of sci-fi in it, but it is mostly realistic fiction. And the main character in this book is named Sal, and you can see him down here. And Sal is a magician, and he loves magic, loves doing magic, and he's a new kid at Coleco Academy for the Arts, which is a middle school for people who are wanting to be performers. So future musicians might go there, ballerinas, movie directors, all sorts of people who want to perform for a living would go there. So Sal gets in for his magic, and Sal loves doing magic tricks at the school. Well, his magic tricks are so real that no one can figure out how he does them. And one day, one of his tricks lands him in the principal's office. And this other character is named Gabby, and she is pretty much the opposite of Sal. She is a perfect person. She is the president of the student council. She is the editor of the school newspaper, and she wants to be a lawyer in the future. So apparently a lawyer is a performer too? I don't know. So anyway, they first meet in the principal's office. Sal got into an unfortunate incident with the school bully involving a raw chicken, the bully's locker, and Sal's insulin kit. Sal has diabetes. So Sal is in the office with the bully. Both of them are in danger of getting in trouble. And Gabby waltzes in and says that she's the bully's lawyer. And so she tries her best to defend the bully, but Sal has some tricks up his sleeve too. So they start right off from the beginning, butting heads. And Gabby gives Sal a lie detector test, and somehow Sal breaks the test. He's able to lie, and she knows that he's lying. But the test says that he's telling the truth. Gabby goes on a mission to try to prove that Sal was lying, and she's trying to reveal Sal's secret for how he does things. But when she finds out, it might just break the universe. So this is a really fun book, a cool storyline. It was one of my top 5 books that I read in the past year, and I read 55 books last year, so you know it's up there. And also, I was on a UPERC award committee last year, and that committee chooses the top 10 books that were published in 2019 for middle schoolers. So this made the top 10. So you know that this is a great book. And the author of this book is Carlos Hernandez, and he's Cuban American. And both of his characters, Sal and Gabby, are Cuban American as well. And so it's cool to have that insider perspective into the Cuban American life. There's some Spanish in here. There's some Cuban dance in here. There's some Cuban food in here. And I also really loved the amount of research that he did into this book. And he said that he consulted with both a physician and a fashion designer on writing this book. So that kind of gives you a perspective on the variety and how wild different parts of this book and how different parts are. In this book, you'll learn about Gabby and why she has so many fathers. And you'll learn what the remembranation machine is. And you'll learn Sal's deepest, darkest secret. So if you want to know those things, I would recommend reading this book. You won't be able to put it down, and you will not regret reading it. I gotta go real quick. I will be right back. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Supergirl! What? You say I'm not Supergirl? You say I'm just Miss Jamie? No, clearly. Look at the hair, look at the costume. I'm Supergirl. Okay, fine. I am just Miss Jamie. So, why am I wearing a Supergirl costume? Wait a minute, let me find my glasses. Oh, much better. So, I am wearing a Supergirl costume today because I am going to introduce the book to you. Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. And this book is about a superhero. It's about a black superhero, and it's one of the only books I've ever read that's about a black superhero, so it's super cool. Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky is by Kwame Mabalia. And in the story, Tristan is the main character, and he's a young boy who's honestly just trying to follow in his father's footsteps. His grandfather was a boxer, and his father was a great boxer, and he wants to be one too. But he loses his first boxing match, and that really disappoints his family, and it really makes him feel like a failure, like he'll never be a great boxer. And so he's really upset about it, and then at the same time he's dealing with his friend Eddie's death. His friend Eddie was in an accident and died, and Tristan feels like there's more that he could have done to help keep Eddie from dying, and he feels guilty about that too, in addition to feeling grief that he lost his friend. So Tristan's dealing with a lot, and he gets into a couple of fights at school, and his parents decide that he needs to go leave his home in New Jersey, get a fresh start. They decide he needs to go to Alabama to live with his grandparents on their farm. So he makes the trip, and he's not really a country person, so he's not looking forward to it. But another thing that happened is Eddie left him his journal. And Eddie used to write tons of folk tales in his journal. And Tristan's grandparents are always telling folk tales, and Eddie got a lot of the folk tales from them. He wrote down what they were saying. And this journal was given to Tristan, so Tristan has it now. but it changed after it was given to Tristan. He hasn't opened it yet, but the outside is changing, and a spider web appears on the cover, and that was never there before. And his Nana says that that spider web is an old African symbol that means creativity. And then the journal starts to glow. So at that point, the last thing Tristan wants to do is open it. He's really nervous now, but it seems like no one else can see the journal glowing. No one else can see that something's weird about it. So Tristan brings it with him on this trip to his grandparents, but he leaves it in his backpack, and suddenly it appears on the seat next to him, even though he knows he put it in his backpack. And so Tristan really doesn't want to open it, but his grandparents are all on his case about opening it, and his counselor at school says, oh, open it, read it, that'll help you through your grief. But Tristan decides to take their advice anyway and open it. And so when he does, it's like he's transported. He sees this vision of another world. And in this other world, it's a folktale world, and John Henry is there. And I don't know if you've ever heard of John Henry before, but he's an African-American folk legend, and he was a man that's super, super strong. He has a huge hammer that he used to drive steel nails into rock for the railroads, and he was able to do it so fast that he beat the steam engine in doing it, and so he was a hero. And so anyway, Tristan sees John Henry, and he's standing in this clearing with Brer Rabbit. And if you've ever heard of Brer Rabbit, he's like a trickster character, and he tricks other animals in order to get what he wants or in order to get out of trouble. So John Henry and Brer Rabbit are standing in this clearing, and John Henry, he raises his hammer up in the air and he brings it down and makes a hole in the earth. And he looks at this little thing on the ground and tells it to go find it. Now Tristan doesn't know what it is, and he doesn't know what the little thing on the ground is at this point. And suddenly he's sucked out of this vision and back to the real world. And he's like, oh, that was super weird. Closes the journal. He's like, I'm not opening that again. And so he puts the journal away, doesn't think anything more of it until that night. And that night he goes to sleep in his room at his grandparents' house, and this little creature sneaks into his room at night. And when Tristan wakes up, he sees this creature, and it looks like a doll covered in tree sap. And it's just all sticky and gross, and it introduces itself as Gum Baby and tells Tristan to hand it over. And Tristan's like, what are you talking about? But it turns out the doll was talking about Eddie's journal. And the doll ends up stealing Eddie's journal and then running off into the forest. Now Tristan really wants Eddie's journal because it's all he has left of his best friend. So he takes off after Gum Baby, and she runs towards the Bottle Tree Forest. Now Tristan's grandparents told him never to go near the Bottle Tree Forest, to leave it alone. But he doesn't listen because he wants Eddie's journal back. So he follows Gum Baby into there, and then is transported into a whole new world and a grand adventure. And Tristan, later on a little bit, finds out that he does have powers. Now, from the front cover, you might think that his power is punching, because he punches a hole in the sky. That is one of his powers, but he also has this very unique power that I don't think I've ever seen before in a story. So you'll have to read to find out what that is. This new world that Tristan ends up in is one where folk tales are real. So John Henry's a character, Brer Rabbit's real. There's a bunch of other ones that come out too, like Niam, the Sky God, Anansi, Weaver of Stories, and High John as well. And there's also evil characters such as the Fetterlings. And you will have to see if Tristan can try and defeat the grand enemy that everyone's afraid to even say the name of. So this is just such a cool book. It's very unique, and it's definitely worth a try. So that was all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this book talk. If you liked it and want to see more of them, please hit subscribe. That supports our library, and we really appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you stay well and stay safe during this time. Bye!